In my last video, I talked about how I made it into Nasi Monji, one of the top 25 colleges in the country. As promised, I would continue on the same, talking about how I cracked the XAT exam, how I prepared for my interviews, what the interview questions were like, and why XAT was my favorite exam to give out of all the management entrance tests I gave. Welcome back. Now I know it's a very long video, for which I would like to apologize. And I wanted to make multiple videos for the same, but you need context of each section before moving on to the next. I went deep into the respective sections and will tell you exactly what I did. So make sure you check out the timestamps, mark the frames you see are important, and revisit this when XAT is closer to time. Treat this video as a Bible, as it literally has everything you would need to prepare for booking a seat at XLRI, one of the best MBA colleges in the country. Now, if you were to be a part of their long and glorious legacy, you need to give the XAT exam, which might seem like just another OMET similar to CAT, but that could not be further from the truth. This short section of the video will go into the selection process of colleges that select you through your CAT score, so if you want to jump ahead, the timestamps will be provided down below. You see, CAT is an elimination-based test in my opinion. You have a score in mind like you do for any other exam, and you have your sectional cutoffs. While yes, you would try to maximize your score, you also need to ensure you clear the basic cutoffs for each section, which usually revolves around the 80 percentile. After you receive your scores, the concerned colleges, including the IIMs, will release their sectional cutoffs as well as the overall cutoffs. And the process forward is quite simple. You either fall above the given cutoff or you don't. The cutoffs are decided by a number of factors, including your previous academic scores, your work experience, the category you belong to, your gender, your undergraduate stream of study, etc. The cutoff scores can be different for different candidates as well. This is where XAT is a completely different exam. If you cross their cutoffs, which are universal, you would be eligible to sit for the interviews, irrespective of any other criterion. While there is no defined cutoff for all the components I have mentioned before, they do give a lot of emphasis to their interview scores. So even if you have a really good score, you still need to do well in your interviews to make it in, and vice versa. Alright, enough of the chit chat. Let's get down to business now. Your XAT exam will usually happen on the first Sunday of January, which will fall on the 7th of January this season. Your CAT exam will happen on the 26th of November this year, which means you will have a little less than 1.5 months to prepare for the XAT exam, give or take. I was trying to look for the best way to explain how the CAT exam is different than XAT, and I believe the best way to explain it was mentioned in a Quora answer. You see, CAT is more of a T20 exam. You have a limited number of balls, you have a target in mind, and you know the number of people applying is a lot. So the normal distribution will usually favor you as long as you're on the right track to reach your desired CAT score. XAT, however, is like a test match. You get a lot, and I mean a lot of time to attempt as many questions as you can. The negative marking favors you as well, as it is +1 and -0.25 compared to CAT's +3 and -1. So the strategy, don't blind guess, but do take your time trying to maximize your score. If the last year's cutoffs are anything to go by, you cannot predict where you will fall even after you believe you have done a good job in the exam. I scored around 44 marks last year, which in any other year would have easily fetched me a considerably better rank. Definitely above 99 percentile, but the last year's paper was considered an easy one, so the percentiles were skewed. Now on to the exam. The exam will not have a sectional time limit, which worked in my favor as I have a really short attention span and do not like spending a lot of time in the same section. The exam will have 3 sections and will go on for around 3 hours. The first section will be of 165 minutes, consisting of quants and data interpretation, verbal ability and logical reasoning, as well as the dreaded decision-making section. The second section consists of GK as well as an essay writing section, and will go on for between 15 to 30 minutes. Now before I actually go into the video, I just want to say the GK as well as the essay writing section does not necessarily mean much. I mean it does, because if let's say you and somebody else gets similar percentiles, your GK score will be a good differentiator, and the essay only matters if you actually do make it to the interviews. So there's that. Section 1. The section 1, as mentioned, is also divided into 3 subsections. The verbal ability questions are dissimilar to CAT in a certain way. For example, the verbal section consists of questions such as which sentence will complete the given paragraph, which sentence has the correct usage of punctuation. Now there are a total of 26 questions. Some of them will take less than a minute, some of them might go on for as high as 10 minutes. So you need to be really picky with the kind of questions to do. To create an overall strategy, it will be criminal to talk about just one section without talking about the others. The decision-making section, for instance, has around 22 questions, all of which will test whether you are able to choose the most ethical and functional option out of the given questions or not. The quant section will have 28 questions in total, which means there would be around 76 questions in total in the first section. Now this is how I approach the paper. You can of course approach it in your own way. I divided the paper into two halves. First, the VARC and DM section, and then the quant section. The reason I'm clubbing both the VARC and DM section is simple. There is little to no maths involved, which is both a positive as well as a negative thing. Contrary to what most YouTubers will say, you can never be absolutely certain about either of the two sections. Whereas quant and DI is a zero-sum game. Either you have the right answer or you don't. So I would attempt VARC and DM in the first 65 to 75 minutes of the exam and leave around 90 to 100 minutes for the quant section. This is because I can be sure I would be able to give ample amount of time to the questions in quants, as well as not overthink my answers in the first two sections. So around 70 minutes for VARC DM and around 100 minutes to quants. Now it might seem tricky to go over 48 questions in 70 minutes, but I assure you, it is not as difficult as it looks. Like I mentioned before, XAT is more positive with respect to their negative marking. No pun intended. So it is in your benefit to attempt more questions. Now most of the questions are intuitive in nature. For instance, in the 7th question of the VARC section, we are asked to select the correct sentence from the list given below. We start from statement 1 and see that it is missing a punctuation after January, as it should be January the 8th. Or we could say it is missing onwards after 2 p.m. This is intuitive, and through this we are able to eliminate options C and E. The second option is dubious as it has a the instead of a before statue. We keep this on hold and move on to the third option. In the third option, we are able to see a coherent sentence, albeit a few extra punctuations, but nothing more to eliminate in this option. We keep this on the hold as well. The fourth option, again, while does not seem charming, is coherent in how it is written. Moving on to the fifth option, we see a clear mistake as with must be replaced with to make the sentence correct, and thus option 5 is wrong. Now we have options 2, 3, 4 and 6 remaining. Without checking option 6, we must check the options, and as we see, there is no combination where questions 2, 3 and 4 is mentioned. The answer must contain 6. Upon checking the 6th sentence, we see that it is indeed correct. So the correct answer must be between options A and B, and as option A contains sentence 5, we eliminate it. The correct answer therefore is option B. It might sound like a lot of work the way I am saying it, but it comes intuitively upon solving. You must spend the first 20 minutes of the paper in marking as many options correct in the VARC sections as you can. Another example of one such question would be question number 9. Here we can see we must fill the blanks with the most appropriate options. This can, again, be done through elimination. Let me show you how. The first blank can be filled by all the options except option D, so we eliminate it. The second option can be filled by all the options except option B, so we eliminate that as well. The third option, C, and the fourth blank can be filled by either of option A and E, but we can deduce the overall structure fits option A better. So A must be the answer, right? Wrong. The correct answer is option B. You see, our own understanding of the English language comes in the way of us deciding the order. While I believe equality cannot fill the second blank, the paper setter thinks differently. I use this example to show you cannot correctly predict the correct option just by elimination. And that's okay. You are competing to get as many questions right as possible. Not all questions you attempt can be correct. The key is to recognize a pattern among right answers and keep following it to the T as much as you can. Next, we move on to the DM section, or dare I say, the most dreaded section in the entire paper. The DM section is nothing like the DIR section of CAT. It literally means you are a decision maker at one of the top firms of the nation, and it is imperative that you take the right call for the benefit of your organization and hopefully the society as a whole. This is where people get it wrong. You see, while it is not possible to predict what the right answer will be, it is definitely possible to boil the question down to the best two answers. I will solve one set from the last year's paper just to show you what my attempt strategy would be. I'm choosing the first set for this discussion. Feel free to pause the video to have a good look at the question before moving on to the solution. To summarize the case, the school has excellent domain-specific faculties which compete between each other. The school has difficulties upgrading their curriculum. On top of that, their older faculties might start retiring soon. There are 3 options they would consider for their hiring strategy. Great teachers that would teach the current courses, great teachers who will teach the complementary courses, and not so great teachers but would be open to teaching new subjects as well. Now you see the pros and cons of each option. The first set of teachers will not teach new subjects, which is something BBS would not like. The second set will teach new subjects but will not replace the current teachers. And the third group will teach anything but at a lower quality. The first question is simple. Which group would you choose to recruit? Looking at the options, we can see an issue with option A in that even if we hire new faculty, the older faculty will retire soon, which will leave a gap open. The second option is just ridiculous. The faculties will still retire, so you do need to recruit more teachers. The third option, C, while offers flexibility, will definitely lower down the quality of teaching, something that BBS thrives on. The best option to go for is hire A-type faculties, but they will not teach any other courses. So while one would be tempted to hire A-type teachers, you need to add the condition that they need to teach new courses as well, or we need to hire type B faculty, which will teach existing courses too. So the best option to go for is option E. For the second option, we need a kind of recruitment strategy that minimizes politicking. So anywhere there is an overlap is kind of already eliminated, except if there are conditions. Options B, C, D and E are therefore already eliminated, as we can neither allow the existing faculties to feel less important nor the new faculties to feel left out. Which leaves us with option A, which upon checking would reassure you that there is no overlap. The third question, weirdly enough, is similar to the first question, where the correct option, again, is to hire A-type faculties on the condition that they will develop new courses. Therefore, the correct option in this case is again option E. To solve questions in this section, remember a few key rules. Never choose a negative option. Never choose a passive option. For instance, in a question where you are an organization and your brand ambassador may be a famous celebrity, messes up in his regular life, you might be tempted to remain passive and let the situation pass, and which in most cases will be the right answer. But this will also come off as you being indecisive instead of it being a strategic move. So that option is out. Dropping your brand ambassador again might be a good option, workable in real life, but it is not a good choice in XAT, as it will look like you abandon your own choices if there is the slightest hint of trouble.
Gods of Olympus have abandoned me.
The best option to choose here would be to release a public statement which talks about your organization's commitment towards growth and public welfare in the light of the recent upheaval. As you see, this option is logical, ethical, and active. Usually, you will find 2 such options in most questions. Choose the option you believe is more moral to do. Think about all the stakeholders involved and then move forward. Now you will have a total of 70 minutes to solve 48 questions like this. I assure you, some of these questions will not take more than a minute to solve. I was able to solve around 45 questions in 65 minutes. Yes, some of them were guesses, but most of them were definitely solvable within a minute or 2. As for the rest of the questions, make sure to have an upper limit on the time you would give them. It would make sense to attempt questions if you are more than 70% sure about them. Next, we move on to the Quant section. Now the questions asked in this section are actually quite surprising. Some of them can literally be solved orally, and some would take close to half an hour to solve. Funnily enough, I cannot recommend you to study anything other than what I have already suggested for this section as well. You see, the Quant section for almost all entrance exams follows a similar pattern. What I like the most about the XAT exam is the kind of questions they ask. Most of them are paragraphs, real life examples where you could literally solve them using common sense and some mathematics. I won't delve deep into this section. You need to keep close to 90 minutes to maximize your score here. Now, what was my attempt strategy? I thought about attempting a lot of questions, so I attempted close to 72 out of the 76 questions, through which I was able to score around 44 marks. The best part about XAT is that once your exam is over and your percentile is out, you could be sure you would be eligible for the interviews if you fall above the overall and sectional cutoffs. Next, we move on to the interviews. The results came out towards the end of January, and I had cleared both my sectional as well as the overall cutoffs. The interviews were done in a hybrid setting, where we would have to join a Zoom link from our home around 20 minutes before the predetermined time. Now, given my percentile, I had qualified for both the BM program as well as the HR courses. Preparation for both these interviews was quite different. The HR interview revolved more around me as a person, and the BM interview revolved around technical terms. For the HR interview, I made a huge list of HR questions, which I will probably talk about in another video. Now, I will talk about my XLRI interviews, one after the other, and after both of them are done, I'll maybe go a little bit into the depths of how I prepared for them and how you should as well. This is how my XLRI HR interview went. The first faculty had asked me, where are you joining us from? I said I'm joining from Ghaziabad. They asked me, what is the most famous thing about Ghaziabad? So I talked about the Habitat Center and how they are making changes, adding new apparel brands. I also talked about the railway station being made. Then they asked me about what industry is Ghaziabad famous for. So I said I'm not sure, but since it's near Delhi, it could be IT. But it obviously wasn't the right answer. They said there's a place near Ghaziabad that has the name Modi Nagar. Who is it named after? I said I don't know. They said it's named after Lalit Modi's father. They asked me if I've given any other interviews before this. So I said yes, I have given the NMIMS interview. They asked me if there's anything that I learned from there. I said I was being defensive in my answers. They said that's a personality thing that cannot be changed. I said, but sir, it can be improved upon. They said, when has it ever happened that you were able to improve upon your personality? As I talked about my attitude towards studies, how I used to believe I was a good singer when I was in so on and so forth. Some example, some story that I had made up in the moment. So they said, are you still in touch with the friends that told you were not a good singer? I said, no sir. Why? Why did you cut them off? I said, no, we lost touch, but just because they went to different cities, it wasn't because of anything else. So then the next interviewer came in. He asked me about my role as an SDR, which is a sales development representative. A sales representative basically. He asked me, how did you work in sales? I talked about how I got a PPO really early in my placement season. And then while I had gotten more options to look into eventually, I really liked the sales role, so I stuck to it. Then they asked me what was your variable and fixed payment like. I said 70% of it was fixed and around 30% was variable. If we reverse it, how would you improve your productivity? I asked for some time. Then I asked whether my salary will only depend on the number of show-ups that I get or also the revenue that I will be generating. They said yes, it will depend on that. I said I would have to focus on getting accounts that can go for proposals rather than accounts just for the sake of getting show-ups. So then they asked me what were the ethical dilemmas you faced during a time at the organization that I was working for. I talked about how we had to withhold information such as pricing to upsell to our customers. They said yes, but that's business, right? What's the dilemma there? I said, right sir, I can't think of any dilemmas as of now. Then they pushed me towards a certain direction. They asked me about data privacy. That doesn't come back to bite your company? I said, yes sir, I didn't think about that. However, we have to be extremely cautious because the US data laws are very stringent. Then the third interviewer came in and he asked me, why am I interested in HR? Why not BM or some other field? So I had a pre-decided answer to give here about why HR, so I talked about that. Then they asked me about my entrepreneurial journey. How many employees did I have? I said I had close to 20 employees. 10 of them were core and 10 of them were interns. They said, alright, what did you learn about the recruitment process through that? So I talked about why it was important to have multiple rounds of interviews, which basically went into even if somebody is technically good to be a part of our organization, he might not necessarily be aligned with our organization in the way it functions, the way we move swiftly with things. Maybe he has different career goals a few years down the line. Since we were a startup, it wasn't necessarily possible for us to allow ambiguity into our project. After which, they basically were like, we are done with the interview, you can log off. So I wasn't really happy with my performance in the HR interview, but they seemed to be happy with it. That's why I got selected. This is how my XLRI BM interview went. So there were 3 panelists, one of them was a female and 2 were males. The interview went on for around 22 minutes. So the first question that they asked me was, there are many communities in India. Can you name some of them? So top of my head, I wasn't able to remember a lot of that, but I just basically talked about in the West, we have Jats and Gujars. Moving centrally, we have Yadavs in the UPs. East, we have so on and so forth. I talked about a few of them. They did not seem satisfied with the answer at all. We laughed it off, but I messed up the answer. Then they asked me, anyway, which community do you belong to? I said Kayast. What is the history of Kayast? I talked about Lord Chitragupt, his sons, so on and so forth. They said, no, not the mythological part. It's good that you know that, but I mean, what do they do? So I talked about initially we were accountants, but our debating ability also make us eligible for law as a profession. They seemed satisfied with this answer. Then they asked me about, though there's many Shri, SRI, SHRI, Srivastav, iterations of Srivastav. Why is that? So I talked about how it depended on the region. In the northern belt you will find more Sri, in the east it will be more Shri. So they said, okay, so is there any Kayas community in Bengal? I said, yes, the Boses. Okay, how do you know? So I talked about how my parents might have told me I tried to tie it to Subhash Chandra Bose, so on and so forth. Does one's identity matter? Should it be of any importance? I said, absolutely. You need to know your beginnings, your roots. It helps you know what the world expects of you and what you should be prepared for. They said, okay, so if I, let's say, replace all the names with numbers, would it make everyone equal? And will it be the right thing to do? I talked about how in communist Soviet, they tried to remove the concept of God to make everyone equal, but it backfired. The differences are what fuels people to make a mark for themselves. They asked me if caste and Varn are the same. I said no, castes are many, Varn are just 4. Caste is the umbrella term. They said, are you sure? I said, I'm not certain, but that's what I remember. Anyway, so then they asked me, okay, so where do Kayast come? I said, outside of Varna. They said, are you sure? I said, yes, ma'am. Where would you place yourself in the Varna system if you could? I jokingly said, Kayast are often compared with Brahmins, so they interrupted me. They said, everyone wants to be compared to Brahmins. So I also laughed along with them. I said, yes, ma'am, but from my understanding, Kayast are more academically inclined, often bookworms. Therefore, the comparison. So they said, okay, so would you say Kayas are intellectual? I said, not me, ma'am, but my family will definitely say this. So then everyone was laughing. So then the next faculty had asked me, so you worked with a company called XYZ. What did the company do? So I went into depth about what they did, what kind of a software that they sell. Okay, so if I'm a fire contractor, let's say, and somebody wants to get an inspection done, can he not go to a portal and get it done? Why do they need you guys? I said, they can, sir, but our software helps them manage the jobs for them. Portal can only help with the scheduling and dispatching side of things, but our software can help them manage their day-to-day. And then I explained really well. They were like, okay, got it. What was your job there? I said, an SDR. So you did engineering, then you went to become a salesperson. Why? Do you like calling up people and disturbing them, or do you not like coding? So I smiled and said, no sir, I hope they don't feel disturbed. Also, it isn't as much I don't like to code. In fact, I love coding. I obviously lied, I hate coding. It's just I had multiple offers in college, and upon research I found the job role to my liking, and I liked the work I was doing here. So I decided against changing my job role. Actually, it's because of the sales role that I generated interest in marketing. Was hoping he would shift the conversation, but he did not. So then the third faculty took over. He said, hi, you have mentioned in your SOP that you like blockchain. Can you please tell me what is SHA-256? So I explained it. Then they were like, where is it used? Then I went into a depth about explaining where it is used. Then they said, explain to me how the Bitcoin blockchain works. I explained that as well. So what does the Bitcoin blockchain contain? Again, explain that well. So you might have heard of the term miner. Why are they called miners? I had a complete brain fade. I absolutely forgot. So I said it had something to do with deal with computational powers and carbon footprint, I think. It was completely wrong, of course. A miner is called so because there are only a limited number of bitcoins, which is basically why it's called mining. Then they were like, okay, explain UTXO to us. So I said, I can't recall that at the moment. You must have read it in college, no? I said, I'm extremely sorry, sir. In college, I primarily worked towards the application part of blockchain, in solidarity, smart contracts, etc. So they said, okay, what are fungible and non-fungible tokens, and give an example for both of them in real life. And then finally, they were like, okay, that's all from me. It was a pleasure talking with you. I said, likewise, sir. So that's how the interviews went. In the HR interview, there are a few things to note. The faculties were more concerned about how I dealt with real-world problems, including my work as a sales representative. It's very clear they were interested in my role as both an SDR and as an entrepreneur. Now mind you, while I did not necessarily face many questions on HR itself, it was purely because they found my work experience quite interesting. And in all honesty, you can and should expect questions on HR. They did ask me, however, why I wanted to do HR given they do ask for your preference beforehand. And the worst answer you can give is, oh, I am giving this interview because I am eligible. I mean, anyway. They asked me about some ethical dilemmas I faced and if data privacy and withholding pricing-based information can be considered as you being untrue or immoral to your clients or not. That's about my HR interview. For my BM interview, however, I was asked more about technical stuff I had mentioned, such as my knowledge of blockchain. They also went in depth about my role as an SDR and even my knowledge of castes. Now, if you're not good at a certain topic, they will change it almost instantaneously. They do not expect you to know everything at all. But anything mentioned in your CV, you definitely need to be well versed with that. I personally believe I did a really good job in my XLRI BM interview. It definitely was my best interview till date. But then again, there are only a few spots and they must have had better suited candidates for the same. Remember, it is always a good idea to schedule your interviews towards the beginning of the season and not at the end or even middle. This is because they do get tired after a certain point of time, and while they try to be as unbiased as they can, the onus is on you to make it as interesting as possible. For now, keep these pointers in mind, rewatch this video whenever you need any help with your preparation, save it if you would like to. I have went in depth about my overall experience right from the beginning of the season, and I personally believe you need not look at any other videos for XAT or XLRI preparation if you are well versed with the strategies mentioned here. Thank you so much for showing my videos so much love across the past few months. I really appreciate the kind comments and do read them regularly, trying to comment to them as much as possible. If you have any XAT related query, you can ask me down below. And as always, thanks for watching.